Hey guys, John Barrett. Welcome out to Level Up Your Leadership, where we're going to give you visual leadership lessons so that you can get better in what you do and be more effective in all that you do. I want to talk to you guys today about the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing versus listening. Now, these are very different things, and we use these very interchangeably, and we don't even really think about it. But I want you to dig a little bit deeper and think about what is the difference between hearing somebody and listening to somebody, because there is a fundamental difference. And when it comes to communication, you've got to understand this truth, that communication isn't just about talking. Right? When we think about communication, if I were to line up everybody and say, tell me about communication, we would all talk about talking. We would talk about all the different strategies and principles of how to be a better communicator and that. But the reality is that 50% of communication is actually being able to listen. It's actually being able to be quiet and listen to what's going on. Not just hearing, but listening. And we'll unpack that here in a minute. But I want you to remember that. If you think about the word communicate, right? Let's just think about this word, communicate. Think about this. There's a bunch of root words in here. Co, meaning together. Commune, right, which means to be together and kind of have relationship and that. We get the words community. We get the words uni in here, communicate, uni meaning together. So when we think about the word communicate, communicate is two people coming together in a dialogue. There's talking and there's listening. There's listening and there's talking. We're working together. You're not just what I call infocating. Infocating is what I would say is when someone's just in a monologue and they're just talking, they're just telling everything that there is, but there's no listening going on, there's no interaction. And I think that a lot of times the reason we have not good communication and communication breaks down is because two people aren't coming together having really good communication. No, usually it's a one-sided deal where someone's doing a lot of talking and the other person might be hearing, but they're not listening. So let's talk about this, because if you're going to be a great communicator, you not only need to work on your ability to talk, but you've got to work on your ability to listen. It's so vital. So what is the difference between hearing and listening? Both things being equal, right? If these are our ears over here, aren't these, they look like monkeys a little bit here, but if these are our two people, when we think about hearing, hearing is simply picking up a signal with your ears, and your brain is kind of processing it somewhat, and that's it. There's not much. In fact, we kind of have a saying that it goes in one ear and what? Out the other, right? I mean, hearing is, you're just picking up a signal. It's a very much of just what I would call kind of a physical act. It doesn't really involve much emotion. It doesn't really involve much engagement into it. You're just picking up signals. It's just the very thing that we do from a very physical perspective. But listening is very different. It's the same thing. You hear something coming in, but here's the deal. Listening not only engages the brain, but listen, this is vital. It moves down to sort of the heart. Now, I don't mean that in kind of a sappy, lovey way or an emotional way kind of a thing, but what I do mean is that listening is actually a little bit more of a emotive kind of concept. And when I say emotive, again, don't misunderstand that word. I'm saying emotive meaning that you are engaged. You're fully present. You're there. You're feeling what's being heard. You're a part of it. And I'm not saying that you've got to be emotive and have all these feelings on your shoulders and all that and wear your emotions on your sleeve. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that it involves more than your brain. You're actually fully connecting with it. You're listening to what's going on behind the surface. You're hearing not just the sound, but you're listening to even what's not being said sometimes. Sometimes listening is the art of being able to find out what is not being said. It's being fully present in the moment where you're not just picking up a signal, but where you're with that signal and you're able to process it. You're able to solve. You're able to connect with somebody else so that you can co-communicate, so that you can have a togetherness with that other person. So I want us to understand, as a leader, if you're going to be more effective, there's a lot of leaders that I see that they're doing a lot of hearing, but they're not doing a lot of listening over here. They're not able to really connect and engage fully with what's going on and understand the motive behind it, the emotion behind it, what the actual problem is. Because as you guys know, Sometimes the problem is not the problem. The problem is what's behind the problem. That's the problem, right? It's what's behind the problem. The problem is rarely the problem. It's what's behind the problem that's the problem. But you'll never get there unless you listen, you engage, you commune, you have unity, you community, you communicate, right? You work together. So I want to ask you, how are your listening skills going? And I want to challenge you over the next little bit. Just be thinking about that when you're sitting down and you're meeting with your team or those around you or any relationship for that matter. Are you listening to what's going on? And you know this to be true because I'm sure you've been blamed many times for, listen, you're not getting it, you're not hearing me, you're not listening. Again, we use those terms interchangeably, but we just have the sense that this is not taking place. And when we only feel like that's going on, we don't feel understood, we don't feel heard, we don't feel valued, we don't feel like somebody's getting it. And so we just walk away and we say, I'm done with this. And as a leader, you can't afford to do that. You have to be able to listen to your team so that they feel like that they are heard, that they feel like that they are valued, that they feel like their opinion and their thoughts and their input matters so that you can validate that. Doesn't mean you agree with it all, but you've got to be able to listen to it and process it. So just a simple little thing, but the difference between hearing versus listening. I want you to work on not just hearing. We all do that, but not everybody listens. If you'll start to work on that, you're going to get better in what you do. Listen, go over to johnbarrettleadership.com. Go check out all the resources that I've got that are going to help you be a better leader, help you communicate, help you listen, help you be able to connect with other people and grow your influence. If you do that, you're going to be incredibly successful in all that you do. Go check out johnbarrettleadership.com.
Reach out to us today so we can help take you and your team to the next level.